I also want to make a comment about the library stuff. I know I'm months late, but it's going to come back because they're pushing this intellectual freedom amendment, which basically takes the idea of the First Amendment and throws it out the window and says there's this entirely new idea of what rights you have to collect information. So, I mean, the basic premise is that if the city doesn't actively affirm and purchase the books of activist organizations and of political groups, that constitutes censorship now. This means the city has no independence. This means the city has no authority to curate its own selection. We have to follow a diversity, equity, and inclusion standard, which means that we don't get to curate our own books. And if you don't purchase them, of course, you are a censor and a book burner and a bigot. The MLA, the Michigan Library Association, sent me a fact sheet in response to some things that I said. I wanted to read one part. What is censorship is the question. Is restriction better than censorship? Restriction still infringes upon the intellectual freedom rights of community members and is often done based on age. All people have the right to intellectual freedom, including minors. When materials are restricted, children and teenagers are being denied the rights on the basis of age. Yes, obviously. That is how rights are distributed, on the basis of age. This blows my mind. In Michigan specifically, librarians and teachers are exempt from a state law prohibiting dissemination of sexually explicit materials to minors because this dissemination is part of their jobs as educators and upholders of intellectual freedom. When I always think of the intellect, I think of the mind. Apparently there's an intimate connection with the genitals now. And then last thing. Librarians who do collection development consider how their choices affect the intellectual freedoms of their communities when they select materials. Once again, what is intellectual freedom? The right to have information given to you and purchased by the state. This includes ensuring the community has access to materials on a wide variety of topics from a wide variety of perspectives, even if members of the community disapprove of certain topics or perspectives themselves. It is important to know that pornography is not a legal term and has no legal criteria, which is why censors like to use it to describe everything from developmentally appropriate sex education books for children to books that include depictions or discussions of queer sexualities. So that's intellectual freedom. Discussions of queer sexuality, the state must purchase it, the city must purchase it, and curate their collection in this manner. Otherwise, they are censoring this material. Of course, we need to have no books in the library. I looked up the law. You guys can abolish that with a simple majority vote. There's absolutely no statute that requires a library or reading room. I think that would be terrible. The city has no higher obligation than ensuring that its citizens can read and write. And of course, we're failing, declining in that constantly. Half of our high school grads functionally illiterate, 7th grade reading level. I mean, but the library has no concern about reading and writing and the basis of being a citizen, but a wide variety of views, which of course, that means you have to put some sort of cap on it at some point, right? They bring certain views, and they're gonna say, well, we didn't mean those ones, right? So they're gonna slip a moral judgment in the back door while saying, no, we don't make moral decisions, wide variety of viewpoints. But then you bring some to the table and they say, well, that's not what we meant. So of course they have a moral judgment. All these people make moral judgments, but then they act, you're putting your personal beliefs here. No, I want a children's section. It's apolitical, nonpartisan, and non-sexual. Very simple. And I want to curate our collection according to the community standards, which is acceptable under Michigan law and under Michigan charter. I would also encourage the council on more of a functional point to, from now on, we need to bring in the board appointees and committee members and chat with them, right? They need to be accountable to you guys. You need to know what they believe before they're on the board. No more up and down votes. We just got to make sure we know what's going on with these boards and that you guys ultimately are in control. control. I'm not elected, right? This is absurd that these people have such control over hundreds of thousands of dollars in the budget and no one knows who they are. And they're elected up or down. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.